I know. I really know I would because my back. Because when I broke it, it feels like one side of it is too compressed.
Tyrell, did you break your back?
Yeah. So we're doing the Dark Knight Rises.
Okay,
No.
okay. So when you broke your back, you were lifted up above a giant man's head and dropped on his knee.
No, it was about 2016.
Wait, hold on. Did you actually break your back?
Yeah, my F3, F4, and F5.
Oh, that five, huh? Like Brock Lesnar.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
that's pretty cool.
It's not that. That's not the name of it anymore. Oh wait, yeah, it is. That was the Cena. It wasn't allowed to be called the FU anymore.
Oh, yeah, because they
When
went all PG.
you know,
Anyways, welcome to Film School Dropout, everyone.
yeah,
I'm James. I'm here with Brent. I'm not going to do a bit this week. I don't know what I call you, a terrorist. I don't know.
every week I'm like,
I don't know what to call you this week. So we'll just I'm here with my sexy cat burglar, Brent. Yeah, we're just gonna dive right into it. We're starting. Oh, we're starting.
Right.
You started talking about your broken back, and I was like, nope, we got to get into this. So you broke your back. I want this on the actual show.
Oh, great, great. Yeah.
How'd you do this?
Just yeah, I was thinking I was younger than I was. The real story is I was just running like full speed through a field. I kicked off my flip flops, so I had my toes just going through the grass. Just
What?
oh yeah, I'm just running full speed, and I go to and my cousin's sitting there, and I go to my plane. I did it the year before with my other cousin. I just do a flyby. I go real close, real fast right by. I don't know why. It just
Sure. No, it sounds like some country bumpkin stuff, but yeah.
sure. Well, I just don't get a lot of opportunities to just let loose and run. Just
Oh, you just gotta go.
it. Yeah, well,
You
I'm
gotta
fat.
unleash the beast.
I'm fast, so you feel. It does. It feels.
Feel pretty good.
Yeah.
So okay,
So
so you're sprinting full force through a
full
field with no
force, yeah,
shoes on.
just cooking it. Just
Okay.
just going. The year before, my cousin, I thought this year my cousin was going to do the same thing, but he just stood there and let me go right by.
Uh-huh.
This time, this cousin, he like does one of these. He's like, oh.
Oh, he's trying to deke you out and stuff?
So I don't know which way he's going, and I'm going too fast to turn. It's just I'm on a straight line at this
Oh,
point.
you were doing the get out run.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He ends up deciding on to go do one of these, and then
Like he throws the shoulder at you, like
he ducks down. So at the last second, I just go airborne. I jump,
oh.
and I would have got over him, except for he goes like a little, and we call it this. He gives me a little boop. He goes, boop,
Just lifts his back right up into you.
just a little bit. Now my feet catch, and then I do a full spin, and
Oh,
boom, and the whole ground shakes.
And you broke your back.
And I instantly hit the ground, and I'm like clutching the grass, and I'm like, and it's just the worst, second worst pain. Third worst pain.
Oh my God. That's so crazy. I met you in like 2017, right?
Yeah.
So this happened like right before I met you. How did you heal your back so fast? From what I understand, you have to go into a pit out in the middle of some foreign country. You have to climb out.
Yeah.
You have to not use the rope. Like, did you have to go through any of this?
I did not use the rope.
Wow,
Finally.
incredible stuff.
Well, not only that, but I saw that Warren was being held hostage by a terrorist.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. You just had to get out of there.
Yeah. I had to do whatever it took.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we're obviously talking about the Dark Knight Rises this week. That was not a bit. Brent did break his back.
Yeah.
A couple years ago. That's crazy. I'm just now finding out about this live on air.
There you go.
Pretty exciting stuff. I've never broke. Well, we started talking about this because I went to the chiropractor because I've got back pain like an old man. And then Brent came in with this incredible story about how he did a Superman jump over his cousin and snapped his spine in half. So
moral of the story is realize your age before you do stupid
Sure. I mean, you weren't that old. You were what, like 20?
I felt young.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, we're talking about the Dark Knight Rises today. Getting near the end of our Nolan season. How you feeling? I know that when we started this, you kind of had this idea like, oh, I want to check in and see how much I actually do like Nolan, going through his films one at a time. You still feeling like he's your guy?
I'm glad you asked me that because I was thinking about this the other day. There have been some changes, I feel like, in my rankings a little bit.
Oh, same here.
But for the most part, I'm still vibing pretty hard with them.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see when when he comes across when we start doing some of the other directors that are more like ahead of the curve. They're more of the forward thinking. Like Nolan has his niche.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has his little corner. I
Yeah.
just want to see if once I start seeing about some of the talented other up and coming directors, if I'll still feel the same way about Nolan.
That's fair, because he does have, he's such a weird director because he's an auteur director. He has pretty much full ownership over all of his stuff, but he's also a blockbuster director, which you don't usually get both of those.
No.
Usually the auteur directors are getting the small indie budgets, and like the only other one who's like doing major stuff, I would say, is Tarantino, who's like got that same almost, he's almost the star, is the director.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, that is pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, I tend to want to be like, Nolan, he's fine, like I like him, but then I do watch most of his movies and I'm like, well, shit, like no one else is doing this.
Yeah.
Like the movie we're talking about today, like I've got a lot of problems with it. It's not a perfect movie, but there are a few scenes where I'm like, well, fuck, like good luck to anyone else out there trying to do anything close to this.
Yeah, I mean, there's you can tell it's a Nolan movie when you watch a Nolan movie, and I think that says a lot about.
I'm actually so excited to talk about this movie. Like, I remember like the year and a half of production leading up to it, and like, yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this very messy movie that I do like, but is messy.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, before we get into it, have you seen any movies?
Sure. We want to do a little check-in?
Yeah, let's do a little check-in. Talk to me. Tell me about a movie that has gotten you excited.
Okay, so
that you've seen recently.
Absolutely, I have one. I feel like there are a couple of times throughout the season where I'm just sort of like, oh, I don't know, I watched this movie, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But I did a couple, like 2 days ago, I watched a movie that I had been wanting to watch for a long time, never really got around to it, and just for whatever reason, finally just sat down and watched it. The movie is from 2004. It's called Birth, starring Nicole Kidman.
Okay.
You ever heard this one?
No.
Okay. No, definitely a movie you would probably hate.
Okay.
It's
directed. Like I was pretty well versed in Kidman.
Yeah, I think this movie came out and like everyone was like, nope, fuck you, too weird, and like it just got buried. And now, it was directed by Jonathan Glazer, who most recently did Under the Skin. He's only done like 3 movies. He takes forever to make a movie, but like, man, his movies are fucking like they fuck with your head. Yeah, they're really out there. But Birth, I mean, the whole story of Birth is Nicole Kidman is like a wealthy woman who is about to marry Danny Houston, and 10 years prior, her other husband had died. So you kind of start with her husband dying, and then it cuts 10 years later, and this little boy shows up, and he's like, "Hey, I'm your husband, reincarnated." And the whole movie is about like all of these grown-ass adults having to reconcile with like Nicole Kidman maybe falling in love with a 10-year-old. And it's like played so serious, and it's almost like a horror movie. It feels more like Eyes Wide Shut than anything. It's got this like eerie kind of like artificial feeling to it.
As you're saying this, as you're describing the plot, I think I remember seeing a trailer for it. And like that's being out there a little bit.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's the exact kind. Like I should make a list of movies that it's a kind of movie where I'm just like so shocked that it even exists, that anyone let this man make this movie with this movie star. You know what I mean? Like there's just movies out there where I watch them and I'm like, who fucking gave him this much money to make this? It's crazy. I mean, Nolan is actually like, Inception's a pretty fucking buck wild movie. If he didn't have The Dark Knight before that, no one would let him spend that much money on it. And it's like, Birth is like a tiny little indie movie and there's no special effects, but like, I don't know, you're taking Nicole Kidman in 2004. What, like, is that right after she won for The Hours? She was right around the same time. I don't remember when The Hours was, but she was like, she was popping, and she just makes this fucking twisted little movie. I loved it. Birth.
2004. I want to say that was when Eyes Wide Shut was what, like 99 or
99. 99. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, part of that insane year, 1999, where like every movie was a masterpiece. It's a weird year.
I'm trying to think. Practical Magic, was that like 97?
That was earlier. Yeah,
so,
I'm not sure
that
when
theaters.
Yeah, no, she had just won She had just won in 2002 for The Hours, and then 2 years later,
Oh.
she goes and fucking, I don't know. It's like she divorced Tom Cruise and then was like, I'm gonna do buck wild shit. So, and she still does. I mean, she just did that Killing of a Sacred Deer a couple of years ago, which is like,
Oh, she's a rock star.
she fucking rules, right? She's like one of the best.
She was one of those ones that I was never really on board with, and then all of a sudden I was just like, no, she's actually incredible.
Yeah, she does everything, and she's the best.
Yeah,
she's incredible.
You know what I think won me over, and this you might laugh, but it was the Just Go With It with Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston. She's like a really side character in it.
She's
like,
in that,
and it's really obscure, but she cracks me up. She made me laugh out loud so hard in that movie.
She's underrated for being funny.
Like this little beaver thing. Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah. And then ever since then, I was like, okay, yeah.
Everything she's in is, I love it.
And it was the Jimmy Fallon interview, because that's the most.
Oh, I don't know of that. Oh no!
It is literally the most charming and.
Oh man, I'll watch it after we're done.
As soon as we're done.
Okay.
As soon as we're done.
I'll do it while we'll stop the recording and I'll do it on the phone with you.
He doesn't know she was like, oh, you just gotta watch. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways. All right. Yeah, okay. So that I just went on forever about Birth. What about you?
That's fine. That's now I gotta check out Birth. So
yeah, you'll hate it.
I think I swear I think I see like bits and pieces of it in like a hotel one time.
I just know your opinion on Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and I can't imagine you liking Birth at all.
Oh, I like Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
Just,
we'll get to it. We'll definitely do. Yeah, we'll get to it.
We're going to have a button.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wanted to talk. I do this every time. I'm not sure if I mentioned it on the last episode.
Who cares?
But I'm going to go ahead, and I know I didn't use it as my movie. I wanted to. So I'm going to use it this week.
Okay.
1998.
Good year.
Because that's, I'm going 90s.
Yep. Yeah, you do love them.
Going with your boy Denzel.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. I actually I don't think this director is very big. I'll give you the name of here in a second. But the movie's called Fallen.
Oh, I've never seen Fallen.
Yeah, I love it.
I think you did bring it up last time.
I know I brought it up. It might have
We didn't talk about it.
It was post episode, I think, maybe.
Possibly, yeah. Anyways, Fallen. Okay.
Yeah, it's about, I believe it's about a demon.
Okay, sold. Sold. Yeah. Congratulations, you've sold me.
Denzel and a demon. Boom.
I mean, yeah. Is it about Fallen? Is it about like Satan? Is it about like a fallen angel?
I think his name, the demon they use in the movie is Azazel.
Oh yeah, baby.
And it's Donald Sutherland's also in it.
Oh my God, John Goodman,
Gandolfini.
These are just they just ran the gamut on like
keep going. Yeah,
big charming guys.
I think that might be it.
I pretty much hit a wall after that, but that's pretty great.
Yeah, I think it was a big four. It really made me love, in particular, Sutherland and Goodman in the movie.
I mean, great. I love both of those guys.
Oh, you know what? Who's that? Oh man, the original Casey Jones.
Oh right, I can see him in my brain. I think
he's also in Shutter Island. He's the guy that always kind of you misplace him for De Niro a lot. Oh man, it's gonna bug me. Sure. Anyway, and the movie's about this. He's a cop. Denzel's a cop.
Naturally.
Yeah, a murderer gets executed. Right before he does, he kind of taunts Denzel, saying, he just taunts him. And throughout the whole movie, you find Denzel's kind of solving this puzzle because this demon is hopping from body to body, and just on a single touch, and he's just messing with Denzel just so hard. It
sounds great.
Yeah, no, it's a blast.
This sounds like the exact kind of movie that Denzel excels at, which is like a shitty movie that isn't good that Denzel steps into and immediately makes it like a B+. That's like he does that so much, like where you're like, oh, I feel like Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 remake shouldn't be good at all, but because it's Denzel, it's like automatically good. Like
was that the Travolta?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like
with the buzz cutter.
Yeah. He's a fucking whole slice of ham in that movie.
Yeah.
Travolta is Jesus. Oh man. All right. So Fallen.
Yeah, Fallen. Check it out if you like suspense.
If you like demons like me.
Yeah, it's a good ride.
I love that. All right. Well, are you ready to go back to Gotham for the final time?
We're ready. I think we're ready.
Let's do it. Dark Knight Rises.
The mayor's gonna dump him in the spring.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But he's a hero.
A war hero. This is peacetime.
You think this can last? There's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne. You and your friends better batten down the hatches. Because when it hits, you're all gonna wonder how you ever thought you could live so large and leave so little for the rest of us.
What does that mean?
Rise.
So, like we talked about with The Dark Knight, I think the most important thing we have to do, especially when we're talking about a sequel or anything like that, you have to talk about the context, what has happened, what is the state of the mind of the citizens of the city, what's the atmosphere that, what's the aftermath of The Dark Knight?
Well, the aftermath of The Dark Knight, and like, I don't want to be meta about it, is Heath Ledger's dead. You know what I mean? Like, Nolan had a whole nother script about the Joker, and Ledger was like on board to make another movie as the Joker. So when he dies, that all goes out the window, and they have to like rework the whole movie
From scratch, basically.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that. I mean, I followed this production like pretty heavily, like as everything was coming out, and I remember just like every day, like fucking looking on the comic book, movie websites and stuff like that to see like, oh, if there any news about casting or anything. And I remember for a long time there was a lot of talk about Leonardo DiCaprio playing the Riddler. I don't know if you remember this at all, but that was like a huge thing. And I think wisely Nolan decided like, we've already had the Joker. Like, let's not have another movie about someone outsmarting Batman, or let's have a movie about like a physical presence, which fucking enter Bane, which I want to do like a whole fucking hour on Bane.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I mean, this movie comes out like 2 years after Inception, right? So I remember, I know Nolan wasn't super interested in coming back. I know he didn't really want to do another Batman movie, and it took a lot of convincing. And like, yeah, I remember right after Inception, like this wasn't what he wanted to do. And I don't know if it was just the script, he figured something out with it or whatever, but he eventually signs back on and makes this fucking damn near 3 hour, conclusion to his trilogy. So that's like what we're getting into, right?
I feel like he just thought like any director worth his salt is just like, you don't want to beat a horse to death,
Mm-hmm.
Don't go back to the well one too many times. Peter Jackson.
I'm not sure. I didn't catch that, so we'll just move on.
Yeah, don't even worry about it. I remember going into this movie and I saw one thing that, because everyone after the last movie is on like a 10, just like geeked up, ready to go.
I can't even like, I feel like the anticipation for this movie, and like I can't say for sure because I wasn't there, has to rival like the anticipation for like The Empire Strikes Back. You know what I mean? We're like, no one really, like Batman Begins people liked, but no one was like, oh my God, I can't wait for The Dark Knight. Like, like people were excited, like, oh, it looks interesting. That Heath Ledger thing looks cool. And then he died. And then I think interest was like, whoa, what's going on? And then everyone saw it and it broke America. Like,
yeah, and then the quality came through and everyone's like, oh, it was actually that good.
So the anticipation for this, like Nolan returning to the franchise to finish it off. And what is he going to do, like, after losing Heath Ledger? Like, how's the story going to evolve? Like, I just feel like anticipation has never been so high for a movie.
Right. I mean, even like we talked about it before The Dark Knight, there was a big group of just hater, like just probably like it's just because I wasn't on board at first.
Right.
But after the movie came out, everyone that wasn't on board instantly was like,
shit,
we got to see the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I feel like that's just how it went. And I just vividly remember being at home, just kind of like scrolling through my computer, and they released the first image of Bane. And they were doing this weird thing where they were releasing like pixels at a time until like the full picture came out. and they released that first picture of Bane where it's like a black background and it's him looking over his shoulder. So you just see like Tom Hardy's just meaty back and like that crazy mask, like looking over his shoulder. That was like, holy shit, like they're doing Bane. This is so crazy, you know? And it just felt like the tension just kept ramping up and up and up until I did that midnight release that I saw it at. And then also, I mean, we should mention there was that shooting. Was that in Colorado?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Like
Aurora.
Yeah, it was like a midnight. Yeah, it was like a midnight screening in Colorado, and that dude dressed as the Joker and like shot the theater up. Like, there was so much like weird energy around the release of this movie.
And even like I the one thing I really, because just like you, I was trying to, you know, I didn't want to. I'm still always hesitant by, you know, just getting spoiled by anything, so I stay away a little bit. But I couldn't at the time.
Yeah.
So, but the one little press like release that I heard from Nolan about the movie before, and I remember telling my cousin, I was like, he was describing this movie as a war movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? So I was just like, this is gonna be nuts. Like I was already hyped. I loved, you know, I think Tom Hardy did Warrior before this movie.
I think so. Yeah.
Because like IGN, like, oh yeah, this is why they cast him as Bane, and they like showed like a little clip of Warrior. I had the DVD at the time, but it was just like
Warrior.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was just like whoever didn't know about Tom Hardy at the time, didn't see Bronson or Warrior. It was just kind of like introducing him to him.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, because this, like, he did have, you know, like you said, Bronson was like probably his first big, you know, starring role, and then he's in Inception, and then in 2011 he does Warrior and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. So like that's a little bit more, but yeah, 2012. I feel like Bane is just like.
Well, think about those roles you just mentioned. How many people saw Tinker Tailor? How many people saw Bronson?
Are you kidding me? Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy? I mean, that thing must have made what, $700 billion worldwide? No, no one saw Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and I like that movie. It's just like.
I think I tried like 5 or 6 times.
It's tough. It's tough.
I finally did. I finally did it, but
it's a
5 or 6 times.
Yeah,
I love Gary Oldman, but
it's hard to describe like the excitement for this movie at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
especially, I mean, for me, I was like a year out of high school and I was working at like a pizza place. So like, it's not like I was doing anything else. You know what I mean? I was just waiting around for The Dark Knight Rises to come out. So when it did come out, it was like, yes, this is the most exciting thing of the year. You know,
and Bane is such a cool villain already.
Well, I mean, did you see this thing midnight release?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Back when they actually did like midnight releases.
I know for sure The Dark Knight. If it wasn't the midnight release, then it was opening weekend for sure.
Yeah, I know I saw a midnight release. I like couldn't not see it, and I thought it was fine. I thought it was an all right movie. It wasn't like my favorite thing in the world, and I don't know. I've seen it like maybe 3 times total. So
I think this was my 4th time.
Okay, sure. It's okay. It's got a lot of scenes and a lot of parts of the movie that I think are like jaw-droppingly good. And then, you know, I don't know. When I sat down to watch it, I was like, "Oh right, it's 2 hours and 45 fucking minutes." Like, holy boy! Like, you know, I guess I get he wants to wrap up every corner of the trilogy he can, which is, I guess one of the things I'll say about this movie, like, just we'll kick off the actual plot discussion. We'll try. I'm not really willing to sit here and talk about 3 hours of Batman, but I think one of the things that I really did enjoy about this movie is, even though there are a lot of things that don't really work, it felt like at the very least Nolan came back for a reason, and he really wanted to tie up just everything that he wanted to do with this whole trilogy. And like, I think this is a pretty fucking satisfactory ending.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a complete trilogy, you know, without getting too much into it, but I just feel like from Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, it was just it's a nice, concise, neat package, and this was the movie that put a bow on it. And yeah, it was great. If we're not counting the MCU and all those, and this is the best superhero trilogy made.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that, about like full-on franchises, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's nothing like this franchise. No one else really has, like, I'm talking about in the superhero genre. There are other, like I think the Mad Max franchise is the only other thing I can think of that has like this one vision from this one guy who keeps coming back to it and like knocking it out of the park, But yeah, I mean, like all the good and bad out of the MCU, it just has no DNA in common with this trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, I at this point, the MCU is kind of its own beast.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really compare it to anything, really. It's just each movie is just another piece of this grand scheme, and it's not going to slow down for at least 20 years. Where this is, each 3 movies tell their own story.
They're very singular.
And then they all come together to tell one big story, and then that's it. That's your classic trilogy done to not perfection, but close.
Not perfection. No, but it is. I think when you take everything, into account, especially the fact that this movie sort of had to be reworked kind of last minute. Not last minute. I mean, they had like over 5 years to make this movie, but like, a lot of stuff had to get thrown out and restarted. So like the end product's pretty impressive, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about The Dark Knight Rises.
Okay, let's dive in.
All right. It opens with the best scene in the history of film.
Well, I'm sure he was thinking, like, how do I top that Joker scene from
easily. I feel like he was like, how do I top it? Oh, I just do better. And he did. The scene fucking rules. I think they released this scene because this is his thing now, is he'll release like a 6-minute trailer attached to a blockbuster a year beforehand to show it off,
just to make people mad that they're not watching that movie.
Exactly. Well, I think I could be wrong about this, but I think this was attached to Ghost Protocol, and I didn't see that. But like, how fucking cool would it have been to go see Ghost Protocol in IMAX, watch this intro to The Dark Knight Rises, have your mind blown, and then have your mind blown for another fucking 2 hours by Brad Bird just shredding on a guitar, fucking with the best action movie ever made. Like, that's such a good fucking night. I wish I would have done it. Oh God. No, so this scene, it's all in IMAX. And I guess before we go into the scene, there is a little anecdote that I just love about this is Nolan took this footage, this IMAX footage, this like 6-minute prologue, and he showed it at a theater to like a bunch of filmmakers like Edgar Wright, I don't know, like Spielberg, he got all these guys in. And he was literally just like, look what I can do with film. Because about right around this time, a little bit before this, but right around this time, you've got kind of the dawn of digital photography. Michael Mann is making Miami Vice, and, like George Lucas had done the prequel trilogy all in digital, So you've got all these directors sort of converting away from shooting on film and shooting on digital, and Nolan is this like prophet of film. Like, he just loves everything shot on film. He thinks digital looks ugly. He's right. And he like shows this incredible fucking 6-minute prologue to all of these filmmakers, and is like, look at what we could do with film. Like, this looks so goddamn good. And he's totally right.
Oh, I mean, the scene looks incredible, just from that first introduction of Bane and just hearing his voice for the first time.
So this scene opens like anytime I've watched this movie after it's come out, I sort of am like, oh yeah, I gotta watch this movie or whatever. Like, I'll watch Dark Knight Rises. I'm not really that excited. The minute that the movie starts, and it's that quick, like, you get that quick shot of like the camera running through the grass up to that one dude, and I'm like, oh right, this looks incredible. Like, it's one of the best looking prologues like ever. It fucking rules.
And you instantly get hit with the soundtrack, the ticking.
Oh my! Oh! Wait, hold on. Before we move on, I have to apologize to all of our listeners. I made a terrible mistake. We talked at length about the film Inception, and we forgot to talk about the best performance in the entire film. We didn't talk about Hans Zimmer's score in Inception at all.
We didn't?
No!
Not one bit?
We didn't even kind of talk about the score in Inception, which is like groundbreaking and like...
Oh yeah. Didn't it win for it, or?
I don't know, probably, but like... Yeah, no, it didn't actually, because I think Hans Zimmer still has only won one score for The Lion King.
Oh,
not a joke. But yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to spend too much time on it now because we're now talking about The Dark Knight Rises. But yeah, we forgot to talk about the score for Inception, which is like one of the best scores that's been written in like modern film. And I feel like a big dummy,
We had like 3 listeners after the first
And
7 episodes,
and
then
they were like they didn't talk about the brrr from Inception. Wow,
they're like, ew, gross. Off.
Unsubscribe.
Thumbs down.
So to our one listener still with us, sorry I didn't talk about the score for Inception, but
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks a lot, Bill. But while we're on the subject, I think this is the best of the 3 Batman scores. I think the score is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I remember just when it came out, I feel like I couldn't go a day without hearing the
they're like chanting.
Yeah.
It has that chanting in the drums. They're like
my cousin had it as his ringtone for a little bit.
It's like
I just kept calling him
just to hear it. No, but yeah, the Joker theme from The Dark Knight is this cool, like, eerie violin that's going up and down at the same time, and it's like really tense. But the Bane's theme in this movie is like, forget about it. It sounds like war drums. You know what I mean? It reminds me a lot of the Mad Max Fury Road score, which is also like very like drum heavy. It rules. It kicks so much ass. The score rules. But so getting off that, we're still on this first scene, which we got to talk about.
Well, we did justice to the Bane theme, I feel.
Yes, no, I just wanted to make sure that I talked about that, because that theme is just whoops so much ass.
And it's kind of crazy too, because obviously we'll get into the prison scene and how like the kind of the prisoners chant also.
Yeah, that's sort of where it comes from, right?
Yeah, he kind of like does a little blend.
Mm-hmm.
He plays with the actual in-film audio with the sound. It's just I really like that touch. But
I agree 100%. But yeah, this scene starts off with Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, and it immediately, like right away, the problems with the movie start. But I don't really care, because this scene in a vacuum is amazing, where so much is happening at once, and I'm having no fucking, like, I get it now, but like just sitting there watching it, you're like, okay, this guy's a CIA agent and he's picking up a doctor from some terrorists. Is that what I'm watching? And then like they show up and he's like, oh, I don't want to take these other terrorists, but you gotta. It's like a weird deal, or some sort of pickup is happening. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really try to make. I just
it's
from the first moment. I don't know. From the first moment you see like him bouncing in the seat with the hood on. You know, I feel like you're already in for this ride, and you kind of just forget about the detail. Like,
because the whole thing about this first scene is there's so much shit going on. You're getting introduced to Bane and like this doctor who like doesn't show up for like another 2 hours. And like, just it's kind of just chaos as far as like plotting goes, but it doesn't matter, because like those drums are fucking shredding, and then you're up in the air in the airplane. And it's like one of the most. So let's talk about Bane's voice a little bit, which is, I'm going to say this, one of the bravest choices an actor has ever made is Tom Hardy doing the voice for Bane in this.
I love it.
It's such a fucking choice. Like what he's doing is he's playing a villain from a beloved comic book franchise. You know what I mean? I don't think we're at the point yet where people are like super aggressively toxic about how their characters are portrayed on film and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But
sure,
I think there's a little bit of that out there. He comes in, he's playing this giant man with this little, what is it, British? I don't know what this voice.
Dainty voice.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And every time I watch it, I'm laughing, but not because I think it's funny. I'm just laughing with glee, because I'm so happy that he just said fuck it and went with that. Because he could have been like, oh, I'm Bane, and like, try to be all tough. But no, what's his voice?
Well, I think he wanted to go in contrast. Well, first off, incredible. It's already a crazy choice to go with that voice, because there's already been such criticism about Batman's voice in the previous film.
That's very, you make a great point.
So he's already going out on a, like, he's like, oh, there's talk about like people having problems. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to go to 10 with it.
Yeah, but people always make fun of the Batman voice. Even before this movie came out, like the previous 2 movies, there was already jokes, Funny or Die was already doing videos, like making fun of the voice. Yeah. And it's so fucking hilarious that Tom Hardy comes in and is like, what's the most insane thing I can do? And he did it.
Batman's got this super deep, like, Batman's down here on a 10 with his voice. So Tom Hardy goes the exact opposite in contrast.
Basically doing falsetto, like
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
For sure.
as soon as he now one of the like problems with this movie, I don't even want to say it's with the movie at all. It's just like this is when Nolan starts to do crazy shit with the sound mixing, and I think he kind of does a bad job with Bane's voice, because the whole movie, it doesn't sound like Bane's voice is coming from inside the movie. It sounds like it's being played as like a track over the movie. Like his voice never sounds like it's coming from him. It sounds like it's coming from like speakers from off screen. I think it's like mixed really poorly into the scenes.
Oh,
But
okay.
I mean, you can hear him pretty well, and he sounds. Break me off a piece. Can you break me off a piece of that Bane?
a little Bane, a little
Yeah,
Bane.
yeah. Can you break me off a piece of that Bane, please?
So, well, okay.
Perhaps he's wondering
You're
why
still
you'd shoot a man.
That's pretty good. You know what you do really good is you figured out he has a weird nasally like cutoff to his voice, and I think that you figured that out somehow.
Well, well, when this came out, I was a big. Well, let's keep going into it.
I'm sure it's such a fucking fascinating choice for Hardy to do that.
Oh man,
could you imagine in today's like superhero obsessed climate if someone went in to see like Spider-Man 3 and like whoever they got to play the Green Goblin came on screen with that voice? People would be rioting. People would be like, that's not how the Green Goblin sounds. He's supposed to be scary. And like it would be so fucking hilarious if someone did that now.
It's kind of crazy if you think about like, so he made these 3 movies, and there's such big fan bases for each of these characters.
The Nolan bros.
Did he get like any, like no one was mad at him for any interpretation for any of them?
I disagree. I think that people were mad, but the thing about all these Nolan movies, I don't know what it is about his approach to movie making and like how they're distributed and marketed. Even if most people were like, oh my God, the Bane voice sounds so bad, it would just almost bounce off the movie. Like nothing he could do in the movie could be so bad that people would like turn against it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas I don't think that's the case with a Marvel movie. Like a Marvel movie, I think has to sort of adhere to what the fans want. It's a very fan-based kind of franchise. Whereas Nolan is the franchise, you know what I mean?
That speaks to the level of quality of his films, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, his films, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. But yes, I mean, I could sit here and just talk about how fucking incredible his voice is. I mean, you know what my favorite line in the whole movie is that he has, and it just makes me die every time.
That's a lovely, lovely voice.
What a lovely, lovely voice.
That's it. That when he fucking is listening to that boy sing the national anthem and he says, that's a lovely, lovely voice. Like, why? Well, he's not talking to anyone. Why did that have to be in the movie? It's incredible.
Yeah, no. You need that.
He likes the boy's voice. Yes.
You need that just to like flesh out your characters.
It's so good.
Give me more scenes where characters are talking to themselves, or that, just that more. I don't know. I need more of that. And that's exactly what.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And then right after that, you get that jaw dropping scene where these football players.
Yeah.
I believe it's Hines Ward. He's doing this kickoff return, and these players are just falling through the earth.
Incredible. So this is another thing. Well, let's say, because what I'm about to say kind of applies to this first scene that we're still talking about. We'll be talking about for the next 3 episodes. You go up in the plane, and there's this weird back and forth where the CIA agent is trying to get people. There's 3 or 4 prisoners on this plane now, and they all have.
I think it's Bane and 2 others.
Yeah, and they all have bags over their heads, and this CIA agent isn't wise enough to like look at their faces. He just keeps the bags over their heads. And the movie just immediately starts with people know who Bane is.
Yeah.
The guy's like, oh, you want the masked man? And he's like, oh, Bane. Like the movie kind of wants you to understand that in the time between the 2 movies, this Bane character has sort of risen to power, and like he has become this sort of threat to the world, right?
Yeah.
Like the CIA knows who Bane is. So anyways, they're on this plane, and he's like threatening all these guys. He's like fake killing them, and Bane calls him on his shit, and he fucking takes his mask off. And then this is like what I fucking like start gushing over Christopher Nolan movies is I don't know how he did this scene. I have no idea how he filmed this scene where the plane comes up above the other plane and like suspends it in midair and like tilts it on its axis, and all these people are falling down through the plane. It's all real. Like all of that is practical. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like it doesn't look like there's very much effects. And like, so what I did was I was like, all right, I need to figure out like what's going on. So I went and looking like online. This movie has like only 430 special effects shots, whereas most movies of this like scale will like exceed them like 1,000 easily. This movie's so like practical effects heavy, and like the fact that he's able to do that shit and like use an IMAX camera to make it look so granular and so before he took over IMAX cameras, they were like documentary tools. People are using them for like Planet Earth and shit, and he's like, no, I'm gonna suspend a plane from midair and we're gonna shoot that in IMAX, and it's gonna look incredible.
Oh man, then you get that first line. No, they expect one of us in the.
And like this happens where he like sacrifices his buddy to like make it look like and I was just like,
and his buddy's smiling, he's jacked up about it, man.
Yeah,
he's just
he's
like,
stoked.
it's so.
And then they put blood from like one guy into another guy, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but it looks fucking awesome.
And then like the very first scene, like that scene, you get into what is the most noticeable thing I feel like about Tom Hardy's performance is his eye acting.
Yeah, this is when it starts.
And his aggressiveness. Like he's like every time he's doing anything, he's like really grabbing, like so he grips it.
Really dedicated like physical performer.
Oh yeah, when he ratchets that guy's arm and just starts like pumping the blood and whatnot. And,
yeah. I mean, God, this opening scene is like the best. It's
and of course, Nolan is leaving you like, okay, well, like 4 things just happened there. I don't know.
No fucking clue. We won't find out about one of them for 2 hours. Like, It's nuts. But yeah, and then we kind of cut to like the meat of the movie, which is we found out that like 8 years have passed since the last movie. Right? It was 8 years.
Yeah, it was a pretty decent time jump. Batman or Bruce Wayne is a recluse at this time. Batman is wanted, or just like he's a criminal. He's wanted.
Yeah, but he's also like he's gone. He hasn't been seen.
He just hasn't.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne is just like hiding in his house, and he's like, there's all these rumors that he's got like long fingernails and like scraggly hair, like whatever. And he's throwing a benefit for like the Dent Act or something. There's so much going on in this first scene where I'm like,
Did you meet Matthew Modine's character?
I love it. Like, yeah, throw Matthew Modine in this thing. Let's do it. Why not?
Yeah, I like Matthew Modine.
I love Matthew Modine.
He plays like the up and coming. I think is he trying to get Commissioner Gordon's
I think he's
job
like Gordon. Yeah, he's like Gordon's right hand man who's also trying to like usurp him.
Like, yeah, get him out of there.
Yeah.
He makes the off comment remark like Gordon is a war
hero. This is peacetime.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like intricacies that are being built in this first, like with the relationships.
You find out that Dent Act after the first one ended up putting away was it like 1,000 or like
something like that, like
some which crazy number of criminals.
Yeah.
So the streets are clean.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I love about the Dent Act is it's the most like comic booky bullshit thing you could throw into a movie. Just like, well, of course the Dent Act was passed and now the criminals are no longer allowed to do crime, and moving on. It's like, all right, like you guys couldn't figure that out beforehand. Like,
well, throughout the movie,
they never explain what the Dent Act really is. They're just like, well, now the criminals are in jail because of the Dent Act. It's like, all right, sure.
Not only that, but they touch on it later on. I think Bane touches on it, that they were held without like some sort of due process, or like
really?
The Dent Act.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, like the cops were able to like get all these convictions without like the proper.
Okay.
So it was kind of slimy.
That seems fucking illegal.
Right. It was slimy. That's what I think later on. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, who we meet in this movie.
So let's go ahead and just talk about a couple of the characters. We already talked about Bane, which we'll probably talk about Bane a lot more because he fucking rules and he's the best part of this movie. But
Matthew Modine's character, we got the mayor coming back from the second.
He doesn't last too long.
Spoiler.
Yeah. So we got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's playing like, I don't know, just like an up and coming cop.
Yep,
he's playing detective cop.
Former foster child, now cop.
Yep, that's pretty much it. He's fine. And then Anne Hathaway, in one of her best performances, is playing Catwoman.
Pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty good.
I absolutely love her in this movie. I think she fucking, like, I almost wish we could have gotten, like, a Catwoman movie that Nolan made. Like, if Nolan did it, because he obviously, like, knew what he was doing with her. Like, she has so many moments where she's able to, like, flip a switch.
Yeah, she did. I mean, like, a lot of things she nailed. I felt like she was a pretty good cat. Like, she nailed.
So good.
She felt like
I think the only
Catwoman to me.
I think the only thing that she doesn't have that Michelle Pfeiffer has is that sort of, like, scary sexuality where she's, like, so able to, like, easily seduce everyone around her and, like, use them. You know what I mean?
I kind of feel like Michelle Pfeiffer was turned up to like 12 on the sexual dial.
Yup. And Michelle Pfeiffer's like one of my favorite. She's my Heath Ledger. Like, I think that performance in Batman Returns is like the best comic book performance you could ask for. She fucking killed it. But there's also like a weird supernatural element to those movies anyways. So, like,
oh, give me Danny DeVito eating the fish.
Oh god, he's so gross in those movies, dude. Oh my god. When he fucking bites that dude's nose and there's like black fucking goo shit. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I mean the first scene we get of Anne Hathaway is her like stealing the pearls.
Sorry. I'm so terribly sorry, Mr. Wayne. It is Mr. Wayne, isn't it? Although you don't have the long nails or the facial scars, sir.
Is that what they say about me?
It's just that no one ever sees you.
That's a beautiful necklace. Reminds me of one that belonged to my mother. It can't be the same one. Because her pearls are in the safe. The manufacturer clearly explained is uncrackable.
Oops. Nobody told me it was uncrackable.
I'm afraid I can't let you take those.
Look, you wouldn't beat up a woman any more than I would beat up a cripple. Of course, sometimes exceptions have to be made.
At this event, you know, that Wayne's hosting, supposedly there's an old decrepit Wayne in there.
Yeah.
She's been hired.
Which he is. It's not like he's been putting on a fucking show. He goes to the doctor later and the doctor's like, you have no bones, or like whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he's so fucked up from fighting crime for so long.
Yeah.
That the doctor's like, you look like shit. But anyways, yeah. So she infiltrates it as a server, basically.
Yeah. You find out again, the pieces you think she's there to steal the pearls, but she's actually there to steal
his fingerprints.
The fingerprints.
I still don't. Why does she use the fingerprints for? She sells them to Ben Mendelsohn
to get into Bruce's vault armory.
Because Ben Mendelsohn is working for Bane?
Yes.
It's so confusing. This movie makes no fucking sense. Oh god. But whatever. It's fine.
Obviously, supervillain Bane knew what to do with those fingerprints.
Well, you know what? Hold on. Let's talk about comic books for a second. Can we?
Okay.
So this movie is based on two very famous Batman stories. I guess three, but like it's mostly based on Nightfall, which I've read a couple times. It's pretty great. This is like Nightfall is like the Bane story.
That's the one with the infamous cover.
Yes.
The bat over the knee.
And it's a super long story. But it takes place in like three parts. And what we're getting in this movie is basically like we're getting the first part of Nightfall and then sort of the conclusion of Nightfall. And they don't really touch on the middle of the story, but like the whole story of Nightfall is this new scary menace. Bane has come to Gotham. He knows everything about Bruce Wayne. He unleashes all of the inmates of Arkham Asylum to tire Bruce out. And when Bruce is at his weakest, he breaks into Wayne Manor and breaks Bruce's back in half, which you more or less, that's kind of what happens in this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like there's other shit that happens in Nightfall, but like they don't really get into that. They just use that element of the story for this. But then the other movie that this is based on, which I think, or the other comic that this is based on, that this movie I think uses a little bit more, it uses a lot more of the actual story of, is No Man's Land, which that story is about an earthquake that hits Gotham and cuts it off from the rest of the world. And like all of these gangs and all the citizens are sort of like at each other's throats trying to survive for months on end while the outside world can't get to them.
Okay.
And that's sort of like the two like dueling. I mean, the third that like people say that this movie is based on is The Dark Knight Returns, which is just like this Frank Miller book where like Batman comes back after being retired, which like that's about the only thing that this movie takes from is like, oh, Batman's back. The idea though, here he is.
Yeah, that's light.
It's mostly the no man's land with like the little bit of Nightfall thrown in there, but which I don't know. I like No Man's Land is such a weird book because it's like, again, super fucking long and like so much happens in it. But Nolan really like figured out the tone of that book, which is this sort of like mass panic and like it's a very scary movie when you think about like what's actually happening, which is, you know, Bane brings a fucking nuke to town and is like, oh, take back your city. And like, that's sort of the whole movie is like pitting the, you know, the city against itself while a nuke is counting down in the background.
Well, another, we got to mention, we also meet,
oh, Christ.
Miranda Tate.
All right. So this is another thing we got to talk about is the Miranda Tate of it all. So in Batman Begins, he introduces Ra's al Ghul. And then in this movie, he casts Marion Cotillard, who looks like an assassin. Like Marion Cotillard has like a very specific look, right?
Yeah.
She looks very exotic and like scary. And like, I just remember as soon as she got cast, everyone who I knew who like read comic books, they were like, oh, well, she's obviously playing Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia. And like the whole time, like, I just remember Nolan and like everyone at Warner Bros. Was like, no, she's playing Miranda Tate. Business executive Miranda Tate, and we were like, yeah, fuck, she is. She's playing Talia. Look at her face. She's so scary. Yeah. It was like the Wrath of Khan remake when they did Into Darkness, and everyone was like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch is playing John Harrison, and we were like, the fuck he is. Like, he's playing Khan. Look at him, you know. But yeah, so Miranda Tate is like, what's her deal? She's like a business lady.
So in the aftermath. After The Dark Knight, I guess Wayne Enterprises did a joint venture to get a clean energy project up and running off the ground.
Boring.
Invested a shit ton of money.
Why did Nolan think that anyone would want to hear about this? Joint ventures and clean energy resources. Like, you got Bane coming down the woodwork, and Nolan spends like an hour talking about boardroom meetings and shit in this movie.
Well, we gotta catch up with how Wayne Enterprises has been doing also. You know,
you're right. In the 4 years since The Dark Knight, all I could think about is the business status of Wayne Enterprises.
Well, you know, it's Wayne.
I've been wondering what their stocks have been like. You know,
I feel like if Wayne Enterprises goes under, Gotham's in trouble. So,
well,
you know,
here we go.
But we get to reconvene with Lucius Fox.
Yep, he's in this one.
Yeah, we get to meet up with our old friend Michael Caine, Alfred,
who just wants Bruce to fuck. All he wants Bruce to do in this movie is get out there and get laid. That's his whole arc.
His whole thing is when he hung up his cape and cowl, he didn't want him to hang out. He wanted him also to have a life after he hung it up.
Yeah, he didn't go out.
No, he did the exact opposite. After he stopped being Batman, he kind of stopped being Bruce also.
Yeah, he just sort of became a husk.
Yeah, which that's not not my Bruce, you know.
Oh my God. Fucking hashtag kill me now. No, I think Michael Caine's so good in this movie. There's a couple of like, I mean, he's good in every movie, but like the scene where Bruce tells Michael Caine that he's gonna go out and like go to the hospital or whatever, and Michael Caine's like, wait, you're going outside? he seems so excited that Bruce is finally leaving the house.
Yeah. Well, yeah, after we talked about so Selena Kyle, Anne Hathaway, we know as Catwoman, takes the pearls. Bruce kind of does his detective thing, tracks her down, meets her up at this fancy schmancy billionaire, probably only.
Yeah, it's like a charity ball.
And
that I think Bruce put on, right?
Probably. I mean, it's Gotham. Right. It's Gotham. I'm sure that Bruce.
Miranda Tate's there too. She's doing a thing.
Well, she's always around there, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he kind of like he jumps in, he surprises her, he gets to dance with Catwoman, the Bruce Selena Kyle infamous slow dance.
Yep, and it's boring. I think it's bad. There's a lot of scenes in the comics where they're like really selling how sexy Batman and Catwoman are together, and there's just like no fucking chemistry in this movie at all. Like
compared to the Keaton Pfeiffer, no.
No. Compared to like me hanging out with my girlfriend, like there's like no sex in this movie at all. You know what I mean? Like,
well, okay, I'm just even comparing because we do get that almost exact
he's
same
not
scene.
he's not like a sexy filmmaker. You know what I mean? He doesn't get into like, you know, he's not a horny filmmaker at all. And like, you want like I like the manipulation that Selena can pull over on Bruce in the comics and in other movies and stuff, where she's able to like be so playful and stuff. And she's really playful in this movie. She's really fun. But like, there's like two scenes where like she makes out with him, and I'm like, I feel nothing. Like, this isn't hot at all. And it's two really hot movie stars making out, and this is like, it feels like technical. It feels like Nolan is like right behind them, being like, "All right, tilt your head 14 degrees to the left," and it's like, all right, this feels cerebral in a weird way. Yeah, exactly.
No, I get what you're saying.
Anyways, thinking,
even compared to because we have Bruce slow dancing with Selena Kyle, done sexier with Keaton and Pfeiffer in Batman Returns.
Well, that movie is incredibly horny. Like, that's the difference.
They got the masks on and but anyway.
No.
So yeah, so you get she basically like tells him that rich people are going down, and like she's just
even knows about Bane. Like,
yeah.
Which is like, I guess one of the things that he fails to do is like really make me understand who Bane is and like why everyone knows. Like, she's just like a high-end cat burglar. Why does she know about this like secret organization of terrorists coming to Gotham? You know, like where did she get that info?
Well, I think
on like criminal Reddit.
Hey, listen, I'm not a supervillain. I can't pretend to think where they get their info.
Allegedly.
No.
Anyways, yeah. So we can't get super granular with this movie the way we do The Dark Knight, because it's like 40 minutes longer than The Dark Knight. And
no, you get the I just went this great scene where he's like, oh damn it, she got me again.
Yeah.
Realizes his wallet's gone.
And then she takes the car.
Yeah, takes the car.
Love that.
But right here you got Money Alfred, Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Don't worry, sir. Takes a bit time to get back into the swing of things.
It's so good.
And he's cheesing. Oh, it's so good. I love it.
I cracked up. This.
Oh, who does it? Like everyone does.
Yeah.
Michael Caine just cheesing like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so great.
I love it.
So let's just fast forward a little bit. So we come down. So I want to talk about something. This was the first, I want to say, the first Avengers.
So was this year as well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this was
big year.
Big year. Because this was the first year that I can honestly say I had my first true nerdgasm.
Oh God. Okay.
And for those of you sitting at home, you know what a nerdgasm is. Just think about
it. Just think about it, folks. You do the math. When was it? What was it? I mean, like Avengers. Was it Avengers? I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, it was definitely Avengers. But whichever one came out first between this and it was close.
I think Avengers came out first, because I think this came out probably as July. Yeah, this came out July. You know. Yeah,
Nolan's thing, and the Avengers was May, I want to say.
I think you're right.
But anyway, so for two movies now, Nolan has built up this. His version of Batman is an uber badass in my mind. Okay. He is just unbeatable, just super badass ninja on just level 10, just through the roof.
Okay.
So, and like the whole time, so he meets up with Catwoman. He's trying to track down Bane. She's leading him through the tunnels. He's doing this thing where he's like jumping through, like you're seeing this cool where
the strobe light scene.
Oh yeah.
When that rules.
And you're just seeing him. It's like, yeah, that's Batman.
Yeah, they're doing some pretty good like dual like fighting where you know.
Oh yeah, and she's running. She
says
around.
like, "Oh, he's right behind you," you know.
Who is?
Yeah.
Or like, yeah.
I am. Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
And it's just like Batman's just being a badass, so awesome. You already see like that. I want to talk about that leg brace scene where he's just like,
yeah. So he goes to the doctor and like as like a false pretense so that he can break into Gordon's room and be like, "Son, bro, I haven't seen you in a while. I miss you." Yeah. And like the doctor is like, "Your legs are so fucked up, dude. Like you have no cartilage in your knees. your whole shit's messed up. You're garbage. You have a garbage
bone
body.
on bone.
Yeah, exactly. So he has to get like this weird leg brace thing to like fix his leg so he can go back to being a badass.
Yeah.
And apparently that's all he needed. So that's good.
And one thing, like we've talked about, like this whole trilogy, Nolan does not go supernaturally, goes above and beyond to make it like as explained and as realistic as possible, as grounded as possible.
He's pretty much like that in most of his movies. Very tactile, very grounded.
This is the first movie where you kind of see that line blur a little bit with like Batman puts a knee brace on
and then suddenly he can destroy a concrete column.
Yeah, I mean,
I love that.
you can make a case that the brick was loose and it was already exposed, but regardless.
No, you can't.
You can, because look at it before he does it.
No, it's not like some stonemason came in and was like, this looks a little janky. You know,
I'm
like
saying I'm not as strong as Batman, and I think I could do some damage to it. But anyway, I digress.
Right. Well, for our Patreon subscribers, we'll put that video up of Brent kicking a concrete wall. See what happens.
That's for the monthly subscribers. And then you see that line also blurred one other time in the whole trilogy, much later on when the final fight with Bane and Batman.
Yes,
at the very end.
Yeah, I agree. But okay, so everything you're saying, I agree with. Where you're getting all this awesome shit where like Batman is like fucking sneaking through the tunnels with Catwoman and they're trying to find Bane's hideout and it's kicks ass. As soon as he comes face to face with Bane, my appreciation for how badass Batman was from that point backwards to the other two movies falls through the floor because Bane kicks the ever-loving fuck out of him. Like it's no problem. It's an incredible scene. And I mean that in a good way. Like I don't mean like, oh, this movie made me hate Batman. I mean like Batman is such a badass leading up to this scene, and the fact that Bane manhandles him with like he humiliates him. You know, like
my God, he's monologuing.
He's literally monologuing the whole time. Yes,
he's monologuing throughout this whole fight, and you just feel like
I don't feel like Bane is even trying in this fight, and like Nolan sells that so well throughout this whole like fight scene, like that Bane is just like, okay, like, yeah, all right, let's go ahead and get through this so I can like tell you my plan and like fucking ruin
Batman is this is what's so done so well about this scene. Batman is the only one in that whole room that didn't know he wasn't gonna win.
Oh yeah,
the confidence was just, oh my God, I got goosebumps just talking about it.
It's such a good,
and with every counter with every counter that he throws, it just gets a little more hopeless, and I'm on the edge of my seat, just like losing it.
Even when Batman is connecting and like making really good hits against Bane, you can tell that like Hardy is just
like young man.
Yes, yeah. And like I mean this whole fight scene, I've mentioned before that I don't think Nolan's very good at like fight scenes. You know, he can do action set pieces very well, but I think when it comes to like staging a, you know, one-on-one fight, he's not very good at it. I think this is the exception. I like the fight between him and Bane at the end, but I think this fight scene is just like the storytelling that's happening during the fight is like it's beyond, you know. But I mean this whole fight scene leads up to that fucking awesome monologue about him being born in the darkness.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then it was nothing to me but blinding.
Oh, yeah, like, I mean, when Batman turns the lights off and Bane's reaction is, oh, like he's like, oh, that's interesting, you know, like, nice try.
Born in darkness. I was molded by it.
And like the what is it? The scene where he grabs him by the throat and he's like, I was blinding, you know, like that's Tom Hardy going even fucking harder with that crazy voice. Like,
yeah, well, I mean, he starts.
It's so good. I want this whole movie to be about Bane.
When Bale is just getting when Batman's getting his ass kicked, like
handed to him, yeah.
And Bale's just like,
yeah,
you were excommunicated.
Yeah, okay. There's a whole lot. Yeah, I guess for the listeners. I guess there's this whole thing where like Bane was part of the League of Shadows, but he was too much of a badass and he was too cool and like everyone liked him too much. So then Ra's al Ghul kicked him out.
that was too dangerous
Yeah.
for Ra's al Ghul.
How did
Not
Michael
to be
Caine know
trifled
this?
with.
Like, there's so many scenes where I'm like, why does Alfred know the history of the League of Shadows?
He did a little digging. No,
it's
Alfred
fine.
can use the internet.
Yeah, that everyone else is, I guess. But yeah, like there's a whole backstory with Bane where he's like, I don't know, whatever. I don't really care about any of it. Like anytime they get into like it, I'm like, yeah, this is fine and good, but like I mostly just want to hear him talk and like throw people around.
Oh,
you know?
see, it's I needed that when he's talking about the ferocity. You know, like it just makes him like when it finally see him and he's just walking like and he does this.
God. He holds his jacket.
I got this coat like a little after, and for a
while
while
it's a little Bane-ish. Yeah,
it was popped up.
Yep. Yeah,
like, kind of like. But
your collar is only a third as big as his, but
right,
his collar
is like
his collar goes above his head and shit.
It's just like a neck guard, like a neck shoulder.
It rules. Oh my God, Bane, my best friend Bane.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, he's so good. Yeah, and then he breaks Batman's back just like he does in the comics. I was thrilled when this happened in the theaters because leading up to this, I was like, well, I was
wondering what would break first.
It's so good. The cup is vital. For everyone at home, Brent does this voice talking into a plastic cup, and it's vital to the whole voice. No, but leading up to this scene, you know, I was hardcore into the Batman comics at this time, and I'm like, oh my God, like Bane's in this movie. Are they going to do the back break thing? And I was like fully convinced. I was like, okay, well, Nolan isn't going to go that cartoonish. You know, he's not going to do the scene where like Bane lifts him above his head and breaks his back over his knee. And when he actually fucking lifted him up, I was like, holy fucking shit, he's doing it. This is so cool. It was like the most exciting thing that happened, you know?
Oh, man.
Because I didn't expect it from Nolan.
Well, it was because Batman gets up literally limping over to him right before that.
Yeah.
Right before that, Bane hits him like 6 times in his mask, cracks his mask. Just like he kind of like walks away with literally the most swagger I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah.
And kind of just haphazardly just
he like has half the mask is a really good shot of his hand.
Just a chunk of his with a bat ear. Just like tosses it aside like it's absolutely nothing to him.
I think my big problem with this movie is that Bane doesn't win because, like, come on, can we just end the movie here? It's the most victorious thing that's happens in the whole trilogy is Bane just fucking going apeshit on him.
Then that's followed up with Bane doing his normal villain thing where he's like, "No, you can't," you know. Then you
doesn't
let him die. Yeah, he gets that big speech about he wants Batman to basically see. Gotham terrorized.
What's his deal with? Why does everyone hate Gotham in these movies? Why does he come to Gotham in the first place? Like, is he just like, fuck Gotham, I'm gonna fuck it up? Is it because Miranda wants him to? It's because Miranda wants him to because that's what her dad wanted to do.
It's the same plan, right?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Again, a lot of stuff that I'm just like yada yada. None of this is that interesting, but sure, put it in the movie. Let's get it out of the way, whatever, just so I can get to the fun stuff.
Well, speaking of fun stuff, we do get the Batwing in this movie.
I was going to say, speaking of fun stuff, can we talk about Ben Mendelsohn?
Oh, we can always talk about Ben Mendelsohn.
I love Ben Mendelsohn. Yeah, he plays fucking some corporate stooge who's like basically the legal or like the business face of Bane's operation, right?
Yep.
That's the idea.
Bane uses him and his construction crews to basically set in action his master plan, which is go around the city, all the major outlets of the city, bridges, tunnels, mix in explosives with the concrete.
Insane.
So that when his plans all come together, which includes a roaming nuclear device throughout the city, which he tells.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty heavy plan, but I mean, it gets the job done because for the rest of the movie, the Gotham citizens, including some of the old policemen, are so terrified to do anything. Including
the policemen are all trapped underground.
Well, I was even talking about Matthew Modine's cowardly.
Well, he's a little bitch, yeah.
Yeah, but not even just the people in Gotham. Outside of Gotham, the government, the U.S. government, won't even come in to the point where they're that terrified of Bane and
he's got a fucking nuke. Yeah, like what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
I mean, I wanted to like highlight that one great scene with Mendelsohn and Bane.
She been sleeping with him? That we know of. Clearly you don't know much of anything, do you? Where's Bane?
Oh, you told him it was urgent.
Oh, where is that mask?
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
What the hell is going on?
Our plan is proceeding as expected.
Oh, really? Do I look like I'm running Wayne Enterprises right now? You're hit on the stock exchange. It didn't work, my friend. And now you have my construction crews going around the city at 24 hours a day. How exactly is that supposed to help my company absorb Wayne's?
Leave us.
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
Yeah. And Bane just puts like a flaccid hand on his shoulder and says like, "Do you feel in charge?" Like it's. I watched this with my girlfriend who had never seen it, and like she wasn't like super into the movie, but she did like, you know, we were really enjoying ourselves because it's a fun movie. But the scene where he says, "Do you feel in charge?" Both of us were like, "Oh shit!" Like it's such a good line.
Well, also Tom Hardy's like 5. They're both like 5'8", but if you notice, the camera is like shot almost directly up to make Tom Hardy and Bane like this
they definitely
monstrous.
I think they like digitally like bulk him up a little bit and use some camera tricks to make him taller.
I know for sure he did have like some inches on his shoes. For sure.
Yeah. I mean,
I think even Bale
probably. I mean, actors are usually shorter, so like whatever. But yeah, I mean, like, God, Hardy is built like a fucking tank in this movie, and like not in the way that like Chris Evans is built in Captain America, where it's like, oh, look at how fucking clean his abs are. Like Hardy is built like a bodybuilder, or not like a like one of those strongman competition guys. You know what I mean? Where like they look kind of fat, like they have like farm body build. You know what I mean?
He's squat.
Yes, and like it's just brick house.
I think that's why everyone wanted, they had the dream casting of him as Wolverine because he's on the shorter side.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And he's kind of like
good as Wolverine. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw.
I'm starting to think of him with a cigar in his mouth, and I'm like, yeah, I can see it.
Oh yeah, with the big sideburns and just like rough and just.
Yep.
Yeah, but I agree with that. Like, look at the first time you see Bane, you just see his back, or not the first time, but when you see him down in his sewer base, Gordon sees him, and his back looks like shit. It's
crazy.
Half the screen.
Yeah, it looks like a mountain. It's amazing.
Follow him.
Yeah,
God. That's great.
Yeah. So what else? I don't know. There's a lot of business with it. We're skipping over a lot of like boring. Well, not boring, but like a lot of shit where it's like. Gordon is like
a lot of Gordon
in a hospital bed where he's like orchestrating shit, and he like promotes Joseph Gordon-Levitt and like I don't
play the corners rookie. Well, I think the first time Batman comes out, we should just a little bit because it's really cool. Oh, you're in for something tonight, and when you just see, and actually it's pretty cool because Alfred lectures him after like it was more about you showing off your bloody toys.
Yeah, Alfred's whole arc in this movie is that he wants Bruce to stop being Batman so he can be Bruce Wayne and like be a normal person.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of bookended by these two scenes of Alfred telling him he used to go to France every year and go to this specific.
I love it.
Oh, I don't.
a Fermi Brinca.
I'm like, what? Okay, whatever. That's the most unbelievable thing in the whole movie is that Alfred went away for 1 week and went to a fucking little French cafe and was like hoping Bruce would be. Why would Bruce be there? Why would did he tell him I'll meet you at this cafe? What are you talking about? Get out of here.
No. He can always hope. He can hope.
Yeah, well, he gets his wish at the end. Yeah, I don't know what else we got to talk about here. We should talk about the Batwing, which fucking kicks ass.
Batwing's cool. There's a little subplot.
Or the Bat. Lucius. Sorry, they just call it the Bat in this movie. What, do you not like that?
No.
It's the Bat.
Is he just the Bat, or is he Batman?
He's Batman.
Pardon me?
His name is Bruce W. Batman.
Batman. Okay.
No, it's canonically in the comics, it's always been known as the Batwing, but they just call it the Bat in this movie.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's a fucking cool thing, and like it's
real cool. Yeah, look cool.
And like again, Nolan. Let's talk about his use of effects in this movie, because the Batwing was a practical prop that they just hung up by fucking strings and flew around Pittsburgh. Like half of those shots of the Bat flying around are real, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean that was a lot of like the final acts, like money sequences.
Yep.
Was Bruce and the Bat.
It looks so good. Like he's so smart about not overdoing it with the CGI in this movie. Like the one scene that always gets me is when he blows up all the bridges, and you've got that wide shot of all these bridges, and you start seeing them blow up from the background, and like the explosions get closer and closer as all these bridges are collapsing. And like and the football scene where the football stadium collapses in on itself. I don't know what it is about his movies. I mean, I know he gets an insane amount of money to make these movies.
Yeah.
But so does, and I know we keep comparing them to Marvel, but like that's the other analog that we can talk about, you know. But Marvel also has, you know, an endless amount of money to make their movies, right? Marvel's special effects don't look nearly as good as this movie's at all. Like even today, like even in Endgame, like, oh, Thanos kind of looks like shit. And all of the big explosive shit happening, like the final battle in Endgame is just like on a gray field where like all these like goopy CGI characters are smashing into each other. And I'm not trying to talk shit about Endgame at all. I'm just saying, I think like it looks like shit. And then you just cut over to Nolan, who's blowing up bridges and football stadiums. And those are all CGI. Like those scenes, he's not actually blowing up a fucking football stadium. He used a lot of like real explosives in the scene, but like peppered in CGI to make it look real. And for some reason, I don't know if it's because he uses way more restraint than the Marvel movies do, because the Marvel movies have to look a little bit more fantastical, but like the way that the bridges fall and it doesn't look dramatic, it just looks scary. I don't know, his effects just look so good in this movie. You know what I mean? Like they look real. They don't look like
I mean
a Transformers movie where like a fucking building explodes and you're like, yeah, okay, right, sure. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of times with those Transformer movies, like they go for.
Well, I guess that was a bad. Yeah,
or just like I know what you're saying. Like a lot of those, like
I would just say most blockbusters.
Well, because a lot of them go for the shot where it's like the building's falling on you, or they go for like you don't need to have like those perspectives. You know, like I think it was with Whedon that said it with when the Hulk punches the Leviathan. Mm-hmm. And you have this shot where all of this is happening, like Iron Man gets a shot, so that's exploding, Cap's blocking with the shield, like all this is happening, and it's like, yeah, that shot worked, that perspective was incredible. But now it's like everyone's trying to like almost replicate, like, and then but with Nolan, it's scaled back. It's almost like
that's the thing is like, and even with Tenet, like his most recent movie, the effects look so good because like, and again, I'm not trying, like I know that I hate the MCU a lot and I go after them a lot, but like, that's not my goal right now, is to say like, even in Avengers, which came out the same year as this, there's a lot of fucking special effects in that final battle scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love Avengers. That's one of my favorite Marvel movies, but it all looks kind of goopy and like fake. You know what I mean? Like it looks good. Like I think Hulk looks good in the movie. And like when he's like jumping around smashing shit, it looks good. But at no point am I like, fuck, how did they do that? I'm like, okay, they did that all on a computer, obviously. But like this movie, it looks so like real because he's, again, Nolan, we talked about it, but like Nolan is so like into making things feel like they're actually happening as opposed to trying to blow your fucking mind. And I think that he has almost an inverse effect where like the fact that he's not going so fucking over the top makes it feel like, holy shit, how did he actually pull this off? This is crazy. I don't understand. Like it makes it blow your mind. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess a little bit. I happen to think that that final battle in Endgame was amazing and beautiful.
Oh my god, it looks like absolute shit. That thing
and
sucks.
I loved it.
God, that fucking like that scene I'll fucking gripe about forever. That scene looks like dick.
Gosh, it was just
where did that even happen? They were like, okay, let's cut to a battle scene that's going to take place canonically at Marvel Studios, I guess, because it just looks like gray dirt. That's it. The whole scene is like gray
giant
dirt.
Explosion.
Oh, it looks so shitty.
Thanos' ship just okay. We can't.
Can't.
It's great though.
Oh god, give me this fucking every day of the week. I'll take this so much more.
Yeah, I mean,
Bane just punching a fucking concrete column over and over again.
Oof. Well, that was the other supernatural thing. Like,
yeah.
So when obviously, we skipped the whole thing after the broken bat. Bane.
Oh yeah, he goes to prison.
Puts him in prison.
This is a scene that a lot of people griped about. That I don't really like. I just don't give a shit about the complaint because like it doesn't really take away from the movie. But it's like where is that prison? It's obviously in some kind of other country, right? That's not in Indiana. You know what I mean? Like that's over in fucking like South Africa or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Sure. Middle East.
Yeah, it has like a Middle East vibe. You're right, but like, yeah, it's this big pit, and I remember a lot of people complaining about like, well, how the hell did he get back from the pit? And I'm like, I don't know, I don't care, like, whatever, you know.
Bruce Wayne, what do you mean?
I mean, he didn't have like a cell phone or anything, but like, okay, I don't know. Sure, that's a fair complaint. How did he get back? I don't really give a shit.
I just think it'd be nothing for him to go and be like, hey,
sure,
I'm Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. He walks into the next Target and he's like, hey, it's me, famous man, Bruce Wayne.
Like,
can I use your phone?
That's me on the cover of that magazine. Like, what do you mean? I don't think it would be
such a good rebuttal. Like, I've never like put any I don't really put any stock in that argument, but your rebuttal of that argument is great. That he's just like, he's famous man.
You see any famous man, they're gonna
like, what if Jeff Bezos crawled out of a pit in fucking like Saudi Arabia? Like, he could walk into the next building and be like, hey, sup, it's me, Jeff Bezos. I need to use your phone.
I'm sure he can get money to him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
this is such a good point. I like that. I like that a lot.
In the aftermath, while Bruce is trying to recover in this prison, Bane has pretty much set martial law. He let the prisoners out. So
I don't really know how much time passes in this.
I think I saw something where it was at least 2 to 3 months.
I guess it would have to be, because his back has to heal. It also starts snowing in Gotham. So like some season has passed.
Yep, seasons have passed. We get a nice callback with the third time Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow.
There he is.
He's kind of in charge of this makeshift court.
It's so good. This makeshift court is the most comic booky thing in the whole movie.
He's even got some of like the suit he's wearing is kind of like Scarecrow-esque. It's got like little like feather, like not feathers, but like hay-ish.
Straw. Yeah,
straw.
Yeah, that's good. He's like exiling people. Death by exile. That's so good.
It's great.
That's good. That's the most comic booky thing. Like, it really reminded me of like the Arkham games, you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
This exile is basically making the prisoners or whoever gets the exile go out onto this ice.
Yeah, and they die. They just fall through the ice and die.
Fall through and they're dead.
Is it Modine dies that way?
No,
I thought Modine died like that. Oh no. It was the guy who was like working for Daggett who had that crazy face. Who was that?
He's actually on the AMC's series Turn.
I've never heard of that.
He's
got such a crazy face. It's so extreme, you know.
He's great in Turn too. I hope he gets more roles, but that show's been done for a little bit.
Okay.
And this is an older movie, so maybe he's kind of floundering.
Well, oh no, what happened?
Yeah, I know.
Hopefully he's not problematic. Oh
no. But he's great.
He's pretty good. Yeah. He dies. He falls in the ice.
He goes through the ice.
Yeah. What else we got here?
Well, later on, you get we'll stick with the ice scene, because when Batman fixes his back, comes back to Gotham,
spends at least 6 hours pouring gasoline all over the bridge.
He's in his Batwing, so he just drapes it over.
Oh, there you go. He's got a hose.
Yeah.
He's figured out how to artistically draw a bat on a bridge with a hose full of gas.
To be honest,
I don't care. No, I don't care at all. It's fine.
The bad shape was
subpar.
Very
subpar.
It was
not that impressive.
Like,
I guess that's a bat.
Yeah.
I guess if you tilt your head a little bit, it looks like, yeah. And then it cuts to Bane, who sees the fire, and he goes, "Impossible!" Oh, I just get so tickled every time he talks. I really do.
So Bane, he's scared because he's like only one person, supposedly this child. Which the whole movie, if you're like me, you're thinking it's Bane. They're trying
to. They try to convince you that Bane is this child who got out of the pit, and it's not. It was Talia, I guess.
Which makes him think like, wait a minute, there's no fucking way. How did Batman escape from the pit? So he's already on edge, which brings us to pretty much the war part.
Right, which is too short. God, I wish this whole like siege-esque scene was like, I wish this was like a whole like 40-minute thing. Like, it's so good.
It's a culmination. Like, the climax starts with the whole movie when Bane's plan is underway. He basically traps the cops underground. The beginning of the third act, Batman gets these cops out.
Yep.
Cops and criminals meeting in the middle of the street. War's about to break out.
Yeah.
The cops are terrified because at this point, Bane has 3 tumblers or Batmobiles.
Yeah, yeah. And so they all have weapons.
Yeah, I mean, there
are cops in that scene that are running to battle with batons. Like, they don't all have guns.
Versus criminals with like AKs and
Yeah.
whatnot. And so I think the cops, you have this real sense of dread in your mind that the cops are about to get gunned down.
Right.
And that's when the Batwing shows up. EMPs, I believe.
Yeah, he does some kind of cool bat move.
Electronically takes out, I'm going to say EMPs, the tumblers.
Oh, yeah.
Puts it on an even playing field. We get the big merge.
Big collision of the, yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, this is what Nolan was talking about when he said it was a war movie.
I just wish it was more.
Yeah.
I wish there was less, like, talking about, like, the health of Wayne Enterprises and like all these boardroom, like there's so much boardroom shit that he has to put in to make everything like kind of make sense.
I feel like everything with the boardroom was for Miranda Tate's character.
Yeah, which at the end of the movie I don't give a shit about. Like I really don't. She like stabs him and I'm like, oh yes, of course it's Talia. We all knew, everyone knew it was Talia. And like she like, I don't know, can we talk about her death scene? It's one of the worst things I've ever seen.
We got Bane like just beating up cops. Batman's beating up criminals.
Yeah.
They meet, they see each other, and
they kiss.
Like, oh my gosh! And I got goosebumps going. Like this is Nerdgasm number 2 in this film, and I'm just like, here we go. And like at first, like it's kind of like a little like stalemate.
Yeah,
and Batman gets fired up. He just lets this like just primal yell go out, and he's like pushing back, and it's like this like will of strength going back and forth, and it's just great.
It is a good fight. It really is. And then he punches him in the mask and knocks one of his, and then it's just downhill from there.
Yeah, I mean, once because when he was in the prison, he finds out that Bane's mask is actually a pain suppressor.
Gotta say, bad design for Bane. If someone can just punch it and knock it loose, that's not good for him.
Well, it looked like the metal. It's just Batman. He happened to get with that blade, one of his blades.
Is that what it was? Okay.
It was when it just clipped that, and it just could. And he's like, oh.
And then this is what I love.
And his eyes, his eye.
I love whatever they did with like the sound here, where you can hear him. It almost sounds like a weird like computer voice that's like breaking up when he's like choking or whatever, and he's like on the ground trying to put it together, and he's like
that's part of my note when his growling when he's just after he breaks that piece and he's like starting to feel pain, he starts like he's like growling. And his eyes are just like going wild, like just this manic.
I love it.
Tom Hardy kills it. He's when he's on the ground, he's shriveling up, and he's almost like, compared to what he's been this whole movie, he's kind of like this small like.
Yeah, he looks like fucking Quado from Total Recall. He's just like this little,
and he's like this, like, and it's just
and then fucking Catwoman shows up and just blows him up with a gun.
And then you get
it's good. No, it's good. It's fun. I like
the Talia surprise, and
which no one was surprised by.
Right, no one. And I love this. I actually loved it way more this time around.
Okay.
Because she tells him because you find out that there's this really special connection between Talia and Bane, basically.
Which I don't understand. Can you explain it to me?
Yeah.
Was it that like Bane? What? Okay, so
Talia's mom was exiled and in the prison.
Hold on, really quick. Because it's the funniest like framing thing that they ever do is she stabs him with a knife, and then she's like, and now I will tell you my entire backstory. And then she just goes ahead and just talks about like her dad roaming through the streets of whatever, and like, so is
exposition.
It that she's just she stabs him and it's just like, here is some exposition. And is it that, so okay, do you understand it? Because I don't, so go ahead and explain it.
I think Ra's al Ghul and his was not supposed to hook up with Talia's mom, and when he did, it got Talia exiled and put in the prison pregnant. She ends up having birth in the prison, and Bane is her protector at that point.
Why? Like, that's what I don't understand. Is Bane in there because Ra's al Ghul wanted him to be in there to protect her or something? I don't understand any of that. Or do they not really get into it?
No, I thought that there was some sort of connection formed between Bane and her mother.
Okay, sure.
Then it kind of became like almost just like a protector trying to like because the other prisoners didn't know that she had the baby.
You know what would have worked, I think, now that I'm thinking about it? I kind of wish this movie was 2 movies. I kind of wish this movie was like 5 hours long, and like the first movie ends with Bane taking over Gotham. You know what I mean? Because that, I feel like then the first movie you can do all of the fucking weird boardroom shit, explaining like the everything. You can introduce Bane, and it ends with him breaking Batman's back and throwing him in prison. And then the second movie can be like, I don't know. I was just thinking about that. You like explaining all this. Like you could have gotten all this in such a fun way if he had like another 2 hours to spend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he wanted to do this.
No. He barely wanted to make this movie. He was like, please let me go to outer space. I just want to make this outer space movie. Oh my God. So Bane gets like blown up.
Because Talia, after that, what all that, you know, she gets in this whole thing. She tells Bane not to kill Batman. Don't kill him. And
why? Because
she wants him to like see or feel the fire.
Okay.
When the bomb goes off.
Kind of cool. Just
to feel the fire when the bomb goes off. The final, you failed. Here's your cities.
Kill him. We need to give him one more chance to come back and win the movie.
Yeah, basically. Then you get this. Oh, as soon as she leaves, he's like, "We both know I have to kill you now." You know, it's like, oh God, it's so good. He couldn't even wait. He was he
wanted to kill him so bad.
Oh, he couldn't even wait. Oh, it's so great.
Yeah, then he shows up and shoots him with a gun.
Yeah, with his monstrous bat pod cannon.
Yeah.
Which at the time I didn't like because it was too simple. I love the character too. I was just like all about Bane, and then he gets like, oh, boom, done.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at that scene, like that, the bat pod's cannon is monstrous.
It's huge.
Yeah. So it blew up a hole to free the cops.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, so I guess Bane probably might not have been able to take that.
Yeah, I don't think so. No. So then we now this is the climax. Is they're all looking for the bomb. They find it. Talia drives a truck off a bridge and has the most pathetic death scene that I've ever. It's crazy because Marion Cotillard is such a good actress. She's such a talent. Like, she's incredible. I fucking love her in every movie she's in. And like her death scene in this is her like, she literally like does like the. It's so weird. Why did that happen? How did Chris Nolan, master filmmaker, look at that and be like, "That's the edit. Like, we'll use that cut." Like,
no. At that point, he's just like, "Oh my God, cut.
Oh my
we're
God.
done.
We're done. I really want to make this Matthew."
Right. Yeah, that's a wrap. No, we're good.
We're fucking done. I need to go to Iowa and make a space movie or whatever.
There was a little. No, we're good.
I don't give a shit. Chris, that death scene was really bad. I just don't have any more patience for this movie.
Supposedly Batman sacrifices himself.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He fixes the autopilot. The bomb blows up. Everyone's happy. He goes to France. He sees Alfred. They nod, and then
Robin is born.
Oh, it's the worst. This makes me so angry. The ending with Robin like puts such a salty fucking ending on this where I'm like, why? Like, who is that for? So the scene is Joseph Gordon-Levitt walks into a room, I don't know, and like is getting his bag. I don't even know what the scene is. He walks into like some room and he's like, I'm picking up my stuff. My name's Blake or something. And she's like, oh, I don't have you down here. And he's like, try using my legal name. What? And then he gives her his photo ID. And she's like, I like your name, Robin. And I don't know who that's for. I don't know who that scene is for. Because it's not
for you.
Well, it's not for any comic book fans because Robin's name is never Robin. That would be like if Bruce Wayne was like, sup, my name is actually Batman Wayne. Like, his name's not Robin. And there were like 6 different characters named Robin that they, like, he could have just been like, oh, I like your name, Tim. And I would have been like, like, I get it. But naming him Robin is insane. It doesn't make
little on the head there.
It's so bad. It's like the worst. I don't know. It's like Nolan. Like the whole time, I'm like, he has obviously read so many comics, and then that scene happens. I'm like, has Nolan ever read a comic book with Robin in it? Does he think Robin's name is Robin?
No, I think he was just done. I think
like, I don't give a shit. I can't even be bothered to look up what any of the Robin's names are.
I think he's just
I like that. I like that a lot. The idea that Nolan's just like, I just don't give a fuck anymore. I'm sick of these
it's
movies.
Like, I'm not doing a comic book movie anymore.
No, then he fucking produces Man of Steel the next year. So whatever.
A producer label, I don't know. That's showing up once a month to make sure it's on schedule.
No, I think he did work with Snyder a little bit on that. I feel like, but could have worked a little harder.
Executive producer, I feel like, are there almost daily, but producer, I don't know.
No, I think you got it backwards. Either way, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, he might have been executive producer on that. I don't know, but yeah. So then the Dark Knight trilogy is over, and we're all done with it.
Do you have any more notes?
I don't. We covered the music, and we covered how goddamn good looking this movie is.
Yeah, I had Mendelsohn was used mainly for expedition for the most part, setting up like in the beginning, especially.
Honestly, a smart move. Like you could have Mendelsohn like just giving exposition for 20 minutes straight, and I would be captivated.
I would watch Mendelsohn brush his teeth and be captivated.
Exactly. I'd be like, whoa, he does it like that? Like
I'm doing it that way now.
Yeah, I feel like we covered most of this movie. I don't really want to go and talk about it anymore. It's fine.
Oh, well, I am going to say this is of the three movies, this was the first where Bruce and Alfred actually had a conflict, emotional stakes, which
they kind of have a little bit in the first one.
Compared to this, I felt this was the most heartfelt. I know you don't agree.
No, I think that this is the most heartfelt that Alfred gets, but I don't think it's a two-way. I don't feel Bruce giving a fuck about Alfred in this movie. Whereas in the first movie, like Alfred was like, you have your fucking father's legacy to think about and all this stuff, and you could feel Bruce actually like taking that to heart.
Sure.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But I do feel like this one, Alfred is like really, really, really pushing him to be happy.
Yeah, this was the most Alfred of the three. I feel like he definitely got his chance to shine because he was worried. This was the most Alfred's had at stake. This is basically like a son of his that he was worried about.
Yeah.
The other movies, I mean, Batman Begins, he was gone for like 7 years. It's just, I didn't really feel the connection as much as I did with those two characters dealing with the aftermath of Maggie Gyllenhaal's Rachel Dawes' death.
Oh yeah, I feel like they didn't talk about this movie. Like, I feel like you don't feel any of that. You don't feel like there's that one scene where he's like, "What if I'll hit a letter from you for like 7 years?" So that
that's very good.
Yeah, thanks.
That's very good.
Yeah, but like that's like the only scene where you actually think about Rachel. Like I don't think about Rachel in this movie at all. Like you don't feel her absence at all.
No, you really don't.
I think it's because Harvey's not there. Because Harvey's dead. He was the other character who was like connected to her. And like, I don't know, Batman apparently just doesn't give a shit. He's like, I'm about to lay pipe with Catwoman and Talia. Like, I don't need to think about Rachel Dawes, I guess.
Yeah, I think everything to do with Rachel Dawes was more of a table setting that it dealt with in the beginning of the movie. Such as like Alfred telling him, that's because you get the story about him burning the letter fairly early, like about 40 minutes in.
When he's trying to burn it in the Dark Knight though?
No, but
you're saying when he tells him.
Yeah. You get that first like clash between what if. Yeah.
I laugh really hard because what if I'll burn that letter? And he says letter. He's so fucking letter. Anyways.
Why do we fall, Master Wayne?
All right, so what are we done? We're good.
I think that's it. I think we can put a bow on The Dark Knight Rises.
Good. What do you think about it?
Well, I think that it when I first saw it, I definitely didn't think it was as good as The Dark Knight. Parts of me, because of the nerdgasms that I had previously mentioned, loved some of those parts even more. Like that fight, that fight with Bane, I loved. I could make a case for my favorite part of the whole trilogy. I absolutely loved it.
The second fight with him.
No, first part.
The first one. Okay, yeah,
the first fight. Yeah. It's absolutely incredible. With that being said, nowadays it's all right. I'll give my rating after you tell me a little bit.
I think this movie is very messy and like there's a lot of strands that I feel like Nolan either was. I mean, we are projecting a lot, but the little joke that you and me are making of him just being like, all right, cut. Like I kind of feel that in some parts of the movie where you feel it's very like rushed and like, all right, let's get to the next part. Come on, hurry. Like I really want to get out of here for lunch, But okay, this is the worst of the three movies. This is the worst of the Dark Knight trilogy. Like I think like easily. But there are parts of this movie I think that are better than anything in any of the movies. It's just on the whole as a fucking 2 hour and 45-minute epic.
It is long. I mean, Dark Knight was crazy long too. I mean,
yeah, this is like 25 minutes longer though. That's a lot of fucking runtime.
That's so crazy to me. Why does but to me it didn't feel that much longer. Like to me, the Dark Knight feels like
you know why? I think
full acts. Like
I think the reason the Dark Knight feels longer is because the last act is like really fucking repetitive. Like you get the boat scene right after the hospital scene. It's like, okay, we've already done this.
I get that.
Whereas like this movie, it is much longer, but it doesn't feel. It feels like a almost 3 hour long movie, but not in a way that's like, Jesus Christ, we're still watching this thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it does kind of move at a pretty good pace. But yeah, I think the things that work in this movie are sometimes better than any of the things that happen in the other two movies. But I think overall, because it's so fucking long and there's so much like yada, 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 it's my least favorite of the three.
It's like I said, The Dark Knight it's not just one of the greatest comic book movies I've ever seen. It's one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. I still say that. So it's tough for me to put this above that. So I obviously can. And I now on my fourth viewing, it's definitely some of the shine has fallen off of it.
Sure.
I still have a blast. I still would love to show this to anyone. I still nerdgasm out. I don't have the nerdgasm isn't as hard as it used to be.
Oh man, you're getting a little flaccid in your old age, huh?
I guess, it's just, and that's me the fourth time through, I think, it's just like, I can, and how many times have I just watched the clip on YouTube?
You just brought up, I may never watch this movie again. I'll probably watch a couple of the clips of this movie a bunch more times. I may never sit down and watch this entire movie again. I can't really imagine a reason popping up where I'm like, man, I really want to watch all of the Dark Knight Rises today.
Oh, see, I feel like this will be like any movie that I really like, and I did really like this movie. I still do. I love showing
okay.
Yeah, I'll sit down and be like, for someone that's never seen it. Oh, then I'll get right back to the first time. I'll get I'll sync up with their mindset for the first time. I'll get just as nerdgasm. We dialed right back up. So yeah, I'll get right back into it. I love being there when people experience something that got me.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's one of my favorite things to do is to show people movies. So I get it. I totally. What's your rating on this movie? Or what's the grade? What are we giving this movie?
The grade. Oh yeah, I do, because you went back to that.
We're going back to just old school, just letter grade.
We just don't got the same letter scale, so it's a little wonky, For me,
there's no scale. There's no scale. I'll tell you what, it's a B. I've given this movie a B.
It just doesn't sync up because I gave this movie an A+.
An A+? What are you talking about?
It's not an S- and it's not an S+.
Well, those don't exist.
I'll give it a 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay. Can we meet in the middle? Let's just give this movie a B+.
What is that stars out of 5?
I don't know. I don't give a shit. I'm just saying,
this whole first season of
we're gonna figure it out. Don't worry. It's not really gonna matter because I don't want to announce our next season yet, but just as a spoiler alert, every movie is an A+. For me, it's gonna be really boring when we get into rating all the movies of this next season. But I just said I don't want. I'm bleeping that out. Bleeping that out. People are gonna have to guess.
I thought you were saying spoilers for something else for your actual reviews. Spoiler alert.
No.
Okay, but gotcha.
I'm gonna bleep that out. I'm gonna bleep it out. Nope. I'm gonna have to build anticipation for it. All right. Well, we're not playing the game this week because it's just another superhero movie. So the whole box office genre thing is just going to be us being like, okay, Endgame, Infinity War, Avatar, Star Wars. All right, good, we did it. That's going to be the whole thing.
Well, I'll give you one. Anne Hathaway's in this movie.
She sure is.
Okay, so name the movie with Anne Hathaway and The Rock.
Anne Hathaway's in a movie with The Rock? I probably know it. Do I know it? Is it a movie that I would have ever seen?
Probably not. I've never seen it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Hold on, I'm thinking. Just give me a second. Anne Hathaway.
I mean, I've seen clips on TBS.
God, it plays on TBS.
Mm-hmm.
God, was she in Central Intelligence or something? Did I just nail it?
No.
Oh,
But
damn it.
You're real damn close.
Oh, really? So it's something like that.
Mhm.
Is it okay? Fuck. So it's like a comedy.
Mhm.
Oh, Jesus.
You're right there.
Isn't that the movie Central Touch? What's the other? What is there? I might not be able to pull another one. I'm trying to think, like Skyscraper. But that's not a comedy. That's like an action movie.
Yeah. For the sake of time, I'll give you another one.
Okay.
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell, The Rock, and Anne Hathaway?
Yep.
Fuck, I don't know what this movie is.
Get Smart.
Oh my God. She
Yeah.
was in that?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I didn't know that. Wow, I was pretty close. I was like right.
Central Intelligence.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
was like, yeah, damn. Okay. Jesus. All right. Well, that was.
I think. Watch.
Well, she's not in it at all.
Unless everyone's the three people that are listening, just the last
like
three
a
left.
net Benning or something. Like, oh my God. Yeah, if you can pull that game off, sometimes I actually do want to try. Like, that's fun.
It just, I mean, it's fast and
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, the first three: Steve Carell, Anne Hathaway, The Rock, or Dwayne Johnson. Sorry, Alan Arkin, Terrence Stamp,
Oh, what a weird
Terry
movie.
Crews, James Caan, Bill Murray,
What a fucking stacked cast that is.
David Kochner.
That movie's shitty, right?
I've never seen it, but I would imagine. Yeah, I'm
Definitely.
not gonna go.
I mean, TBS was actually a really good hint because that's exactly the kind of fucking movie that's on TV.
Let me go watch Get Smart.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I got a DVR for my Friday night.
Jesus, man. Okay, are there any upcoming movies that you're excited about anything you're planning on watching?
Yeah. So I just saw this trailer. It's a movie by director Nicole Beckwith. I've never heard of her before.
Me
She
either.
apparently did this movie. This is her second movie. The only other movie was this movie called Stockholm, Pennsylvania.
Not familiar.
Saoirse Ronan or
Saoirse.
I'm always going to say it wrong. It won't matter.
Saoirse.
So I'm sorry, Saoirse.
Close.
DM me, girl.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, this movie it stars Ed Helms. It's called Together.
Oh, I haven't heard of this.
Apparently a 40-year-old man, he's just fed up with, the dating life, whatever. He decides he's just in the chapter of his life where he wants to have a kid, and he is going to have a surrogate carry a baby for him, and he's just going to be a single dad. And
that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like it's right up my alley right now.
Oh no. Oh God.
But it looks cute. It looks like could be charming, funny. Supposedly it's supposed to have some smart writing. So
all right, cool. Well, as I mentioned, I don't know if I said this on the podcast or if I was just talking to you. No, I think I just got my second dose of the Moderna vaccine. So in 2 weeks, I'm going back to the movies. In 2 weeks, Jimmy's going to be at the movies every day. I'm going to be wearing my mask and I'm going to be sitting far away from people, but I'm going to be back at the movies. And I know the first thing I'm going to see.
It's got to be a big one.
I got to go see Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh,
I don't care. I don't care about this movie.
I'm coming with you.
That's fine. I don't care about this movie at all. And I probably won't really like it that much, but I got to see a big ass fucking ape fight a big ass lizard monster on the big screen again.
Yeah,
it's between that and Mortal Kombat, but which I also will definitely see like that probably the first day I get the vaccine. But like I've been holding off on Godzilla vs. Kong. I don't want to watch it at home. I'm done. I'm done watching movies at home. I just spent a whole year watching blockbusters and shit at home. It's time to go back to the movies.
Sounds like a plan. I mean, I think this was I think it might have been our pilot episode where I was plugging Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh, it might have been, yeah.
And I'm like this. Anytime I go online, I'm like, there's no way. Like,
so you haven't watched it yet?
Oh no.
You're waiting.
I could have, but I'm like you. I feel like especially with that first Godzilla movie was so great in theaters that it just wouldn't be.
I hear you. If we still were in the middle of if the vaccine hasn't come out yet, you know what I mean? I would probably have already watched it at home if there wasn't like an end in sight, but I'm so close. You know what I mean? Right. The vaccine's coming. Actually, I already got it. I just got to wait for it to kick in the next 2 weeks. And then boom, we're back. We're back in the theaters.
Yeah.
And I just found out there's a movie theater like 3 miles from my house. Didn't even know it was there.
Well, there you go. That's
I
perfect.
lived here a whole year and didn't know it was there because of this fucking pandemic.
Oh, because it's probably been closed the whole time.
Yeah, and I just didn't know it was there.
Right.
So I'm fucking excited. Go. Hopefully they have an IMAX screen.
Is it like a big one, an AMC?
That's a Cinemark, so it's huge. The one that's by me is enormous. And then of course I've got the State Theater, the Michigan Theater in downtown Ann Arbor, right down the street. So I've got my blockbusters and my indies all ready to go.
Yeah.
Just got this vaccine to kick in.
You're good to go.
That's it, man. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I mean that about wraps it up for the Dark Knight trilogy, and we've only got 3 movies left for Nolan.
So now we are going to space.
Yes, you and I are going to put on our spacesuits and go out into the stars, out into the cosmos.
To ride the reconnaissance.
We are going to, we're going to watch, I think, what is the final film of the reconnaissance, maybe? I think so, yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited for it. So,
Very excited.
Yeah, me too. So we'll fucking put a pin in it for this episode, and we'll catch you guys next episode when we go out into outer space for Interstellar.
I can't wait.
All right. Well, I'm James.
And have a lovely day.
So bad.